Welcome back. All right, I want to talk about the Nashville Predators. I want to talk about how they're playing now, how they were playing before the break, and do a comparison because from last night's power rankings, that seems to be the biggest confusion. No problem explaining, and there's no hate that comes into any of this because that's always the you must hate on. There's no hate in it. There's the you look at each game and you look at the board and you say, all right, because again, I update the board after each game, right? So December 12th, they won 1-0 at the New York Rangers. And this was a big victory for them. They were outshot in that victory 32-24. They got outshot 16-5 in the third period. And, I mean, it wasn't necessarily the best way to lock down a game, allowing 16 shots, but it worked out. They won the game 1-0 over the Rangers. And Gerard Gallant was very outspoken after the game regarding what he felt was not a great effort by the New York Rangers. Really rough night for them and a great night for the Nashville Predators. Now, the game after that on December 16th, they won 5-2 at home against Colorado. They outshot the Avs 35-26 and outshot them 17-3 in the second period. So again, big statement game there for Nashville. Very good game all around. And yeah, outshooting the opponent, outchancing the opponent, everything that you want to see in a Nashville victory. December 17th, so the very next night at Chicago, they win 3-2 in overtime. They outshot the Hawks 31-19, which included a 15-6 second period, and they end up getting the win in overtime. So those are 3 wins going into the break, right, for Nashville. Now, coming out of the break on December 29th, they lost 5-3 at the Washington Capitals. They were outshot 37-20, including 15-6 in the third. And this is kind of a pattern they've started where they're being outshot and outchanced in these games, but they're getting saved by somebody. So let's get into that part too once we get over here. December 30th, so the next night, they lost in a shootout at Columbus 4-3. Shootout loss I treat again as a tie, right? I treat those as ties because not all victories are created equal. If they were, regulation wins would not be a tiebreaker to make the playoffs. So they outshot Columbus 34-29 in that game, including 14-7 in the third period. So again, decent game for them in a loss. January 1st, they win 6-1 against the Chicago Blackhawks. They were outshot in that game 38-25, including 15-7 in the second, or 15-7 in the first, and 12-6 in the third. But they beat Chicago 6-1. Now, of course, Chicago, a bottom row team on the power rankings, and so I always take that into consideration. Now, on the 4th, they did win at Vegas. They absolutely did, but they were outshot 43-26. UC Saros steals this game. They were outshot 21-5 in the third. They had a 3-0 lead and barely held on by the skin of their teeth for 3-2. The victories there, yes, they won the game. Very great that they win the game if you're a Nashville fan. Frustrating loss for Vegas, of course. But again, Vegas outplayed them quite handedly, and it was a steal by the goaltender, UC Saros. Now on the 6th, they win 4-2 at LA. They were outshot 48-20. It was one of those weird games where every time Nashville's got a chance, it felt like it went in the net. LA could shoot all they wanted to, and they did. In each period, they outshot Nashville badly. 13-6 in the first, 14-8 in the second, 21-6 in the third. So really, Nashville wins that game because UC Saros. And I didn't think they played a particularly crisp, great game. They took advantage. Their power play worked. The things you want to see worked for them. But again, then on the 8th, so last night's game, they beat Arizona. Well, Arizona has a 7-23-3 record. They win 4-2. They were outshot in that game 40-29. They were outshot 15-5 in the second, 13-5 in the third. They led this game 3-0. So twice in a week, they had a 3-0 lead, and then they kind of sat on it. So when you look at it, the overall numbers would tell you UC Saros is a huge part of the reason that this team's winning. And it's the Igor Shesterkin problem all over again, where the New York Rangers, when they're playing really well, usually there's a Shesterkin that's behind why they're winning some of these games. So Saros saves 38 out of 40 against the Arizona Coyotes for a .950 save percentage. .958 save percentage with 46 saves on 48 shots against the Kings. Saves 41 out of 43 against Vegas for a .953 save percentage. .974 against Chicago with 37 saves on 38 shots. Against Washington, 32 saves on 36 shots for an .889 save percentage. And against Chicago here, an .895 save percentage, saving 17 out of 19 in that game. So when you look at the overall numbers, Saros is one of the better goalies in the league. And right now, could he end up being a Vezina winner? He could. For all the discussion about him being too short, I've never understood that discussion. It should be about wins and stats and everything. But if you watch their games, especially if you're watching a feed that's not the Nashville feed, very often you'll hear about how, well, he's a shorter goaltender. He's not 6 feet tall, but he's very good. He's got great reflexes and good anticipation. He's never caught out of position. So his goals saved above expected, and I talked about this about a week ago, right? So this is from moneypuck.com, where they've got this really nice, pretty easy to read chart on goaltenders. And it's fascinating to see which ones have had really good starts to the season, which ones have played really, really well, and which ones it tells you maybe are having some issues. So his goals saved above expected. So these are the goals that he's saved that an average goaltender likely wouldn't. It's 16.6. The only 2 goaltenders he's behind are Jack Campbell and Igor Shesterkin. That's it. Jonathan Quick has dropped from first, where he was the last time I talked about this chart, to 4th. So it's interesting because Campbell's had a fantastic year for Toronto, right? And he's due for an extension at the end of this year. We'll see what Toronto does with that. Shesterkin's been absolutely fantastic for the Rangers. And I would say the Rangers in the East are similar to Nashville in the West. I don't know how well the team is playing at times, but their goaltender's absolutely fantastic. So it bails them out of some games that an average goaltender wouldn't, where the goaltending that Nashville was getting, which was spotty at times over the previous, I'll say 3 years before this one. And again, no insult to Rinne or to Saros for his play in previous years, but this year's been absolutely fantastic. On unblocked shots, he has a .960 save percentage. So that tells you if he can see it, he's going to save it. 770 on high danger unblocked shots. So these are the really, really dangerous ones. And the expected on that is 672. So if it's a really excellent scoring opportunity for any of these teams that they've played against, odds are Saros has stopped it. So that's where I'm kind of stuck on this. What I'm waiting for with Nashville is that complete team game. That game where they outplay the opposition the whole way through. That they just look like that top place team and all of that. And it, again, I know they're 12th on the board right now. But it's one of those things where I'm waiting to see where it's going to go from here. Because Arizona's, not in the playoffs. Chicago's not in the playoffs. LA currently closest to the playoffs of the 3, and then you have Vegas, where again they get outshot 43-26, including that 21-5 in the third, and they had that 3-0 lead. So I do hope that Nashville makes the playoffs. I do think that that's a given that they will make the playoffs, and then it's a matter of where they finish. So they're first right now. Colorado has the better points percentage. We'll see when Colorado's played some more of those games in hand where things shake down. Of course, you have St. Louis is right there. It looks like it's a 3-horse race for the top of the Central, and I'm here for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how things go from here. But for Nashville, they've definitely outperformed the expectations of basically everybody. I would say probably even David Poile, if he was honest before the season and what he had expected. I would think their record right now is better than what was expected then. But we'll see what happens, right? I do enjoy watching Nashville games. We'll see how things turn out from here. And there you go. Hopefully this explains a little bit. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.